Hello, wonderful tea people. Big news today. Great big news. I picked my date. So today, well, actually, I picked it yesterday, but the website's going to be going live March 20th. So March 20th is the day when people are going to be able to buy tea. And that is quite scary and exciting, but that's going to be the day. So March the 20th is going to be the day when tea can be bought from my Shopify website. And the Shopify website is not going to be very polished. It's not going to be very beautiful. It's not going to be, well, it's going to be done, but it's going to be a work in progress when I open it up. But I want to know which tea people are interested in. I want to know which tea people want to buy so that in the springtime, I can go out and get that tea and buy a bunch of it to share with the world. But that's the announcement for today. I've got the logo down, the logo's done, and I am quite excited. I'm actually, I'm scared shitless, of course, because I know that there will be things that go on, but that will be beyond my control. But, I am raring to go. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Today, two show pours. These guys here, this is a 2017. Then this guy right here, which is a 2012. And this is kind of new for me. I've only had these teas once before, and I really don't know how to evaluate these in the sense of what exactly I'm looking for with these teas. I mean, just smelling them, it's kind of like, smelling them is kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It reminds me of really good Chinese restaurants in Toronto. When I grew up in Toronto, there was these really good restaurants that would have really good tea that they give you. I guess, I don't know whether you would consider it really good tea, but at the time I thought it was pretty good anyways. And if I went back now, I probably wouldn't enjoy them as much. But I'm evaluating that. Well, I bought them already, so I know that they're not terrible. But that's what I'm looking at right now. So here's the first one. This is 2017, and it comes in these beautiful little puck things here, and I'm going to sell them for about $1 each, give or take. And hey Kim, how's it going? Are you enjoying the teas? I'm curious to see what you think of the teas. Have you been able to use them in any of the classroom or the meeting settings, I guess? I'm curious to see how it's going with that. But anyways, this here you can see is the puck of tea that we're trying right now. And these guys are about 7 grams each. This is about 8 grams. So about between 7 or 8 grams each. And I can be selling these guys for about $1 each, I think. Maybe a little bit more, $1.10, something like that. We're on spring break, so no student meetings. Okay, well, no problem. Hey, Gabby, how's it going? So these guys, they come in these cute little things. And one of the reasons why I bought these, obviously, they're pretty good teas, but they come in these little things like this. So I'm probably, I think there's 7 in each one of these. So I'll probably sell these for about $8. And you can sort of store them yourself. So you can take these and you can store them yourself. And that I think is a lot of fun. What I've tried so far, I've really enjoyed. Awesome. Hey, Ryan, long time no see. Spring break starts next week. Right on. Yeah, I'm springtime here has sprung, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Because it's been a decent winter, nothing too bad, but I'm just happy to get back into the rivers and do all that fun stuff. Anyways, this here is the other pour, the show pour. This is a 2012. This guy here is a 2017, and these guys are, well, let's try them out right now. Let's go for it. It's hard for me to evaluate these, although I know that they're very, very pleasant. They're very, very pleasant teas. So yeah, Ryan, you're going to Japan. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I'll wave from you down, and I'll wave at you from Taiwan once you get there. And so here we go. For this, we'll do, just to be fair, we'll do the same. So we'll do 8 grams of each of these teas, doing flash steeps, and we'll just see how it goes. I've had these before, just only once, and I really, really enjoyed them. Like I really, really did enjoy them, which is not that usual for me. I'm just doing a quick rinse on them right now. But what was really interesting about these teas is that, like I was saying, one is from 2012 and one of them is 2017. I didn't really notice a big difference between them in the sense of overall smoothness. They're kind of the same. Hey Quint, how's it going? So if you guys are show experts, then let me know what I should be looking for with these 2 teas. Because for me to drink them, especially side by side, they're very, very similar. They're different, but I want to know what's the thing that kicks your ass really, really hard, that you know it's a really good show pour. Now these, again, are very, very pleasant. I really enjoy them. But I'm not a connoisseur. I've only had maybe 5 or 6 show pours in my entire life. So they're not common here in Taiwan at all, right? It's actually quite hard to find them. And when you do find them, they're usually pretty crappy. But these 2 that I found, they're from the same producer. They're made with the same material from sort of that area, just a little bit north of Pu'er in Yunnan province. These are not made with gushu. They're definitely not made with gushu. Talking to the producers who make it, they don't they don't use a lot of gushu for this stuff, for sure. But why don't we get started with it and see how we go? So just after the rinse. So you got earthiness. I can say that like 100 times when I'm drinking these. A warmth. The chachi is just like, you can just smell it. It's just really strong. So Ryan says, I don't know enough to give you much help, but I know if I like something, I'll drink it. I don't look into specifics much. Well, Ryan, that doesn't help very much at all, does it? But I'd be happy to send out some of this stuff to you guys too. For me, I look for thick body and sweetness, and I don't generally like persistent bitterness with show. Clean aroma is probably most obvious. That helps a bit. Well, that's something that for me is very, very, very important. Very, very important is no bitterness. Because that's the sort of the Western palate. And all the teas that I'm going for, I'm really trying hard to hit the Western palate, which is something that I like. I like sort of the sweeter teas, the teas that are not going to knock you on your ass with bitterness, even with the first steeps. The teas that are sort of beautiful in their expression without edges, or with edges that are clearly defined and you know why they're there and where they're coming from and things like that. That's what I'm trying for with every single one of the teas that I source, is trying to find that. So yeah, show is the cooking process. Now, to make the show pour it's funny because the producer, like this guy, I get along with him really well. He's an awesome human being. And I said, like, I don't know much about how you make show pour. I said, can you show me some pictures? And he goes, can I not show you pictures? And I said, but come on, I've heard about it. I mean, he's like, if I show you the pictures, you're not going to want to drink this tea. And I said, I'm going to want to drink this tea. Okay, this is sometimes I'm just going to want this tea and I'm going to want to drink it and whatever. And he's like, okay, I'll show you the pictures. He still hasn't sent me the pictures. I got to get on him for some of that. But to make the show pour, basically you take a bunch of leaves, you stick them in a big pile, then you wet them down and you turn them into muck, like just muck. like it is just muck. Like it looks like a mulch pile, exactly, right? And apparently it's disgusting. Apparently it just looks gross. It smells gross. Like it's and especially for somebody like the guy who I get these teas from, he's Taiwanese, but he goes over there because the source material is so much better. Like the source material for, depends on what you prefer, of course. But where he's going is near this place called Ailao Mountain, and it's this area, this narrow national park in China. And the reason they have a national park there is because up there, that's where all the mother tea trees are. And so he lives most of the year in this area, and that's there's tea farms, of course, but they have used the tea trees as the source material to bring it down. I've also got a wild tea, which I'll do in a live session maybe tomorrow, but that's like my daily drinker now. It's the chachi, and just how you drink that tea is so spectacular. But anyway, so that's why he's over there. And it's really interesting for me because the source material of the teas that he's getting is so different than Taiwanese teas. So different. I'm drinking a Milan black tea, Dankong material, black tea processing. Really nice. Right on. Quint, do you know where the area is, where it was produced? It's a way of cooking the leaf to basically imitate the aging, or that's what I've heard. Yes, it's like a cheating, right? So it's like let's get this to taste like it's super, super old. And I've tried some of the super, super old tea. It's different, but I'm not. Anyways, let's take a look at this. So this is the 2012 pour right here. Then this is the 2017. So the 2017 is much, much darker. It's got a lot more. It's much thicker, although this is much brighter and much, much more of a lightness to it. You take a look at the leaves here. There's certainly a fresh smell to it. This one's got a little bit more of that old tea kick to it. You can smell some of that old tea in there. This one's got a little bit more of almost like a popcorn kernel-y type of smell to it, but nice and earthy. Both of them are really, you just smell them. You're like, whoa, yeah, I like it. Guangdong. Hey, really, Guangdong. That's interesting. That's the Chinese teas. I've got to get on the Chinese teas. I really, really, really do. But it's so hard to get loose leaf Chinese teas in Taiwan. And I've got so many teas here already. So here we go. So here's the 2012. Clearness, mulchy, earthy. No bitterness at all. Not even a touch of bitterness. Nice and smooth, but I think it's going to need a couple more steeps before the real body of that tea comes out. Yeah, like a roasted corn, popcorn kernel-y flavor. Earthy depth, touch of bitterness on the first steep there, just a touch of it. Not quite sure what's going to happen with that as it keeps going. But the first steep, for sure, this one is much better for the first steep, absolutely. And when you guys are drinking show pours, I've heard that the younger teas can sometimes be a little bit harsh. And when people say that they're a little bit harsh, is it a bitterness in there, or is there a certain type of flavor that comes out that's not quite where it should be? So Ryan saying I had a show before that had a strong Genmai note that I loved. Well, we'll see what happens with the next couple of steeps with this guy. Because when I was drinking it the other day, I don't remember it being that strong. That sort of that popcorn kernel-y stuff. But it's certainly pleasant. Both these teas are pleasant teas. I mean, even just drinking them, they're just pleasant. They're just pleasant for sure. Okay, wow. So here we go, going into the second steep. It is coming out. It is just like whatever's in there is expressing itself right now. I mean, take a look at the first steep and the second steep. I mean, it's just so different than Taiwanese teas. I can do nothing but laugh. I mean, it's so different than Taiwanese teas. I mean, it's so hard for me to sort of even evaluate them. So you can see this one was darker on the first one. And then here you go, this one, super dark, super rich. And I had a friend, I think one of the reasons why, of course, was that you can see the 2017 stuff is coming out in these pucks, right? So they're coming out in the pucks. And you can see the pucks here, they're pretty loosely, they're pretty loose, sort of like that. That's what the pucks look like. And they're quite thin. You can see they're quite thin like that. So it's expressing itself much quicker on the first steep for this one. Whereas this guy, I mean, I just pulled out a chunk of this, about 8 grams of this stuff here. And so that's the second steep, that's where this it's expressing itself now. Bitterness in some young show has a slightly off taste from the piling that hasn't aged away. Okay, awesome, Ryan. Thank you. That is a great insight. And so Quinn says, the Wudou wet pile flavor tends to stay around for the first couple years. It's the slightly fishy sour fermentation note that should go away after a bit of storage. Some have a bit more than others. Well, this, I can definitely taste a tiny, tiny little bit of that. We'll see what this steep, if it's more. But, I mean, what you guys are describing, I'm just not getting it very strongly with this tea, which is nice. Which is nice. I think maybe when I do this in the future, I might actually cut these in half and do 4 grams and 4 grams, because this is looking like it's a little bit strong. But live and learn, right? Live and learn. Well, it's certainly not unpleasant. So this 2012, rich, deep, earthy, and just overall pleasant. It's so hard to describe. I'm looking for all the Taiwanese tea notes, right? So I'm looking for, there's no floral in here. There's no butterness, right? There's no vegetal. There's no all of these things, and it's really hard for me to describe it. But so smooth and so pleasant. Let's go for this guy here. So yeah, the sort of that corn kernel taste is still there. And there is a slight little bitterness, a slight little bit of a sourness or the wet pile sort of taste in there, but it's very mild. It's very, very mild. I mean, they're just good. I've had some grossly acidic fishing tasty shows. I'm sure, man. I'm sure you have. And that's the thing. Like when I tried these at the shop, and I tried them out, and I was like, it's like, I got to drink the show. And he's like, are you sure you want to drink the show? Because I've got all the old tree pours and all of these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pours. And he's like, try them, just try it out. Okay, man, just try it out. And so I did, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And he's like, you like it? And I'm like, well, listen, man, it's not as good as the 500-year-old tree pour, the wild tree, which are 1,000-year-old trees pour, but it's still really good. But absolutely, at this point, this is heads and shoulders above this one. So we'll go into the third steep here. But I was just charging my phone, so I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw in my little microphone here. So excuse me for a second. But one of the reasons why I got the 2017 pour, or the show pour, is because it comes in these little things like this. And when it comes in this is it's got 7 pucks in here. I can sell it for about $8, $8 or $9. Probably when we do 850, I'll decide right now. 850, and you can store this really, really, really well. Like you don't need to do anything. It's just here, so you can store it. So you can buy a 2017 for pretty cheap, and then you can store it. And then it comes in. So the outside has this banana leaf casing. The inside has got some of this paper like this, and then it's just got a bunch of these pucks. And I thought to myself, wow, this is, somebody wants to age their own teas. This is the perfect experiment for aging your own teas. It really is. It's sort of the perfect experiment for aging your own teas. And so I'm thinking, selling these, they're just kind of cute, to use the word. But anyways, when I finally had some good show, it blew my mind. I didn't know show could actually taste good. Yes, so that's the thing. For me, it was the same thing. The worst I've ever had was a show in a random shop in Denver, like manure, anchovies, and a gym sock with a super watery body and terrible bitterness, dude. And you drank it again? That's disgusting. Probably took a couple years off my life with that tea, I bet. Hey, Ryan, you got some tea mail. Awesome. I'm glad. I mean, that's so much fun. I've got some tea coming my way from India, and I'm looking forward to that when that actually gets here. That's going to be a lot of fun. Because I don't get a lot of tea mail. I mean, I do, but I order it. I'm like, hey, can you send me, how many grams of whatever. And so it's not exactly the same. But I got to start ordering tea. I just have to start ordering tea. Anyways, let's go for the the second steep. We did a rinse. Wow. I mean, for me, it's just so different. You touch it, it's like solid ink in here, like it's just like solid ink. You touch it and it just goes, like it's so amazing. It's so amazing. Such a different experience. So here's this would be the third steep, right? I did a rinse, and then so this is the third steep of these teas. And you can see the colors here after the third steep, relatively similar. But this one, I don't know if you can see it, this one has more of a glow. So this is the 2012 tea, and this has got more of a glow to it. Whereas this one here doesn't have as much of a glow. It's a little bit more dull. And I find that, I know it's really hard. I mean, it's totally subjective. I understand that. But I find that it's very, very, when you see teas like that, when you see them, you can usually tell the quality difference between them. Okay. Not a lot of tea. It's a Sipsby package. Have you heard of them? Yes, Ryan, I have heard of Sipsby. And I haven't heard too many good things about Sipsby. But they're weird. They're weird because they don't pay for their tea. So they get people to send them free tea, and then they send you guys the tea for they make their money off of after they paid the shipping. That's how they make their money. So they don't actually buy their tea. So it's a weird one for them because it's a really hard market in the sense that every single month they've got to be hustling. They've got to be hustling to get high quality tea. And so what if, like, for example, me, right? I'm like, oh, I'll send you some crap. Well, they're not buying any tea, so they have to send that tea out as well. So it's a tough market for them. But I'm curious to see how it goes. I'm very curious. I drank a whole 12 ounce of that tea. It was so bad. It was fascinating. I couldn't stop drinking it. So this is the bad show people talk about. Well, I can see that. I mean, I've had some experiences where I've had tea like that. There was one experience I remember. I was in the tea growing regions by Hohuan Mountain, Chilai Mountain, and this tea was so chemically, it was so perverse that it actually tasted like burnt rubber, and I couldn't get over it. Like I was just like, I smell it, and I was like, because the leaves are beautiful, right? But they had sprayed it with so many chemicals. The taste was literally burnt rubber. And it was the first time, because I've had this described to me, but it was the first time I ever actually drank it. And it was fascinating. I drank a bunch of it because I wanted to see what the hell was going on, whether it would go away. But I definitely understand that.
I might try Sipsby at some point. I've been pleasantly surprised by them, Quinn. Awesome, Ryan. I'm glad to hear that. 9 months or so. Wow, awesome, Ryan. Well, I'm glad because they've got like a, if Sipsby gets their market right, then they can actually help out a lot of people. So, for example, somebody like me could send them tea and then send them out to people, and then then those people would theoretically come and buy tea from a tea shop somewhere, right? Which is pretty neat if they get it right. I'm pleasantly surprised, Ryan, that you're enjoying it, and I'm very happy that it's working out. Really, really, because they're in a stressful, they put themselves in a stressful spot, but they seem like really nice people. Their marketing's pretty good. So here we go, third steep. Now the colors of these teas are basically identical right now, but this one here has got much more of a brightness to it, a lightness to it, which is nice. So these teas, I mean, this is something that I could just drink all day. I had a friend who had just traveled through China for a long time, and his goal was to get as much Showpoor experience as he possibly could. So he's all traveling all around China, and he'd say, "Give me your show, give me your show, give me your show." And he was saying that they usually would take their Showpoor and they would steep it for like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 minutes. And he said it was so earthy and wormy and strong, but the good stuff was like right now when I'm drinking the Showpoor, my belly's starting to fill up with it. I'm getting a full warmth, like radiating out from my stomach. And that's something that you just never get with Taiwanese teas. You just never get it. The really high quality Taiwanese teas are going to give you something up here. They're going to give you like a boost. There can be a beautiful, it's going to give you like a beautiful cha chi feeling, like a boost, something like that. But this is much lower in the stomach, and it's a radiating. I can feel it radiating out from my stomach, a warmth. It's really nice. Got some Alishan. Wasn't gonna have tea tonight, but now I am. Awesome, awesome, Ryan. And I'm curious, just have you noticed, for you guys, have you noticed your caffeine tolerance raising, I guess, or rising? Because I've noticed my caffeine tolerance rising almost like on a curve like this, just going straight up, which I find to be really fascinating because I used to be very, very, very sensitive to caffeine, and now I can certainly tell which teas have more caffeine, but it's not. It doesn't keep me up all night. I know what you mean with that warmth. It makes show so addictive, and it makes it perfect after a meal. Show is great, and I'm starting to drink a bit more. Well, see, that's the thing. Drinking this after a big banquet when you're like full of food and maybe you drank a little bit of alcohol, you're a little bit tipsy. This would be perfect just to let the food settle, to help you with digestion. I mean, the idea that, I don't know if you know, so I've studied a little bit about that, like the human biome, and the idea that you can, like when my boys were small, I used to send them to the garden, and I used to be like, just, they would eat the dirt, and I'd be like, awesome, fill up your belly filled with, the dirt, all the enzymes, all the bacteria from the earth. Stick that in your mouth. Don't eat too much. Don't eat too much. but the idea, was just you're helping your biome, right? You've got many multiples more bacteria cells in and around your body than you do actual like human cells, and so I tried to do that with my boys, and it's helped out a lot. And I think that in here there's something to that, like there's something in here, like when I drink the tea, it's warming up my stomach, and my stomach's feeling really, really sort of good in that sense. I can see when after you've had a big meal, it'd be perfect. So it's so interesting when I'm drinking these now together. They're kind of from the same material. This one, again, is 2012. This one's 2017. And I'm really easily able to tell the age. Like this one, it's not bitter by any stretch of the imagination. There's no anchovies or manure or anything like that in there. But there is a little tiny bit of a bite. A tiny, tiny little bitter bite to it that this 2012 is lacking almost completely. That's really interesting, really fascinating to have them side by side. Anyways, I'm never bothered by caffeine these days. Hey, Clark, how's it going? We're drinking some show today. My caffeine tolerance has been stupid since I was like 13, drinking Red Bulls and Coke all day, every day. Ryan, I am glad you've switched to tea. You don't drink that crap anymore, do you? I'm hoping you stopped because, like kidney stones. But I'm glad you switched to tea. But I think that is, so, man, Prawir Aikibal. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce that right, but welcome. Welcome. Welcome, for sure. I'm not so sure my body recognizes caffeine as anything. It just goes and goes and goes. Well, Ryan, maybe you should try and not drink caffeine and see what happens. See if your body recognizes it after that. Because it sounds like you might be a little bit addicted. Now, I don't really drink much other than water, tea, and juice that I make. Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, thankfully, I haven't really gone through a pop phase. When I was growing up, my parents just didn't have pop in the house. And I've tried a couple of the sports drinks as experiments way back in the day when they first started coming out, like the Red Bulls and things like that. But they just gave me like heart palpitations and headaches. So I never really got into them. And I didn't really drink even coffee until I was in my 20s because I was sort of really sensitive to caffeine. And then I started drinking really high quality coffees, and that helped a lot. But the amount of tea that I'm drinking right now makes it so that I just have an extraordinarily high caffeine tolerance compared to what I had before. Which is really interesting and really convenient because when I'm on sourcing trips, I'm drinking tea until like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And I'll tell this story. It's not a very nice story, but I'll tell it anyways. Well, I mean, whatever, it's just a story. But I was on a tea sourcing trip, and it was the first time that I found the Ruby 18 white tea. And I found it, and I was so excited. I found it late in the day, and I drank so much of it. And then on that sourcing trip, I was actually sleeping in my van. And so when I was sleeping in my van, there was no handle to open up the back. And in the middle of the night, I'm like, well, I got to pee. I'd actually gotten to sleep. I got to pee. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I just got a plastic water bottle because I was drinking water. And I just peed in the bottle. And then I just went back to sleep. And because I didn't want to climb over the seats and get out. It's cold, rainy. And the next morning, I'm like, oh, I got to pour this out. I open it up. And as you would, I gave it a little sniff. And it smelled exactly like Ruby 18 white tea. The color of it was exactly the same as Ruby 18 white tea. And I poured it out, and I was like, wow, that was really interesting. And from then I realized, well, damn, my body is metabolizing that caffeine in a really fast way and a really nice way, and I could still sleep even though I still had that much Ruby 18 white in my bloodstream. But anyways, let's see. So Verdi Organico, hello, welcome. Occasionally, maybe once every few months, I'll have a Red Bull, but rarely soda. I got bitchin' headaches without caffeine from tea or the occasional coffee, very occasionally. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen like caffeine addicts, which I consider myself a caffeine addict, right? If I don't have my coffee, I get horrible headaches in the morning. Their brains are actually, if they don't have caffeine, their brains are like or our brains, I guess I should say, are like, they're just empty. They don't have the red lights. And a normal brain has the red lights going all the time. And then once you drink the caffeine, a caffeine addict's brain will just go boom like a Christmas tree, whereas the normal person won't. So I mean, I guess that's a plus and a minus, but I certainly enjoy my tea drunks. I do enjoy Red Bull. I'll have them every once in a while, but not often, only if I have something to be up and energized early or something. And who wouldn't want wings? Yeah, I can see that. I can live with caffeine generally as long as I stay hydrated and eat well. I don't get too much pain. Back in the heyday, it would be like allergies when I didn't have caffeine. Well, Quint, I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. My eyes would hurt. I can't seem to get excited over Pu'ers. I have a feeling it'll come with time. Still haven't dug into the samples I received from you. Digging into the Ruby 18 Black tomorrow morning. Awesome. Well, Clark, the Pu'ers that I sent they're sweet. They are, try them out. Try them out. I mean, I was not into Pu'er at all until I got my hands on those teas. I'd suggest you try them out, see what you think. Anyways, let's go into the fourth steep for these guys. Now, the fourth steep for these, I remember this happening because I tried them side by side before. The fourth steep for these teas, it starts to change. This one actually gets darker and stays darker, whereas this one gets a little bit lighter, which I find interesting and something that makes a lot of sense considering this is the older tea and it's packed like this as opposed to sort of these pucks like this. And it makes a lot of sense, but it's really interesting. I love tea. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love tea. So yeah, you can see it right now. This tea is lighter now than this tea. Whereas you can see I've been keeping these because a buddy of mine wants them downstairs. But you can see this one versus this one. This is so much lighter. This is so much darker from the first couple steeps, but now they're switching. So this one is becoming darker and this one's becoming lighter, which is really, really interesting. Super deep, super smooth. Really just no edge. I mean, there's a tiny, 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 tiny little kick at the back of a slight bitterness, but it's pleasant, right? It's mixed with the earthiness, and it's just so smooth. And it's so hard for me to describe these flavors. People said, like obviously earth, because I'm saying I warned you I was going to say that like 100 damn times, but people say like fresh, like leather or fresh straw or some of those deeper flavors, and it's really hard for me to pick them out yet. It's really tough for me to pick those out from these teas. But even just taking a break and telling a couple stories there, now that I'm starting drinking again, my stomach, I can just feel it warming up and just going, just warming up like that. Just beautiful. It's so pleasant and smooth. It's so pleasant and smooth. So this is the 2017. Definitely more of a freshness. You got the straw in there. A little bit of the sort of the wet piling, but it's definitely not anchovies and manure. It's a little bit of a stronger flavor, definitely not as smooth, but no resistance to swallowing. But it's definitely not as smooth. There's a little touch of bitterness in there, a little touch of bitterness, more so than this. And then sort of that roasted grain, popcorny flavor is still in there, and really nice. Like it's pleasant. Like if I was going to pick between the two teas, which one I enjoyed more, I would definitely say this. But I mean, they're not very far off. You know, they're really not very far off. And I was always expecting something, this is because this is a much newer tea, I was expecting it to be much harsher. Like I think in 5 years, this tea is going to be really, really good. And I'll show you what they come in because it's just kind of fun. Check this out. So this is what they come in. And you can see it's got, you get 12 of them here. And I mean, it's a lot of work. It's all done by hand. You got the bamboo stuff in here like this. And then you can pull out each one of these guys like this. And I don't know whether I'm going to sell the whole thing. I don't know anybody's going to want to buy the whole thing. But it's so set up to age. Like these are just set up. Like if you want to age your own chaud pu'er, you buy one of these guys, you stick it up on a shelf, and you're set. Like it's even like you do it for 12 years, right? So every year you pull out one, and you taste it out, and then maybe every 6 months you drink one or something like that. But it's really, I mean, it's great marketing how they did that. Let's see, what are we doing here? Definitely will. It's going to be my new jam, and Shofi's in manure. Hey, Kim, I mean, you're surrounded by universities, right? So there's probably like a hipster, like you could probably pull that off, right? Do the human biome, the positive, I mean, that's going to be like really positive for the earth to eat the manure and the anchovies mixed together. You can do like it's helping your gut bacteria. I don't know, it's not vegetarian or vegan though. Maybe you can just take out the anchovies and be vegetarian and vegan. But I'm sure you could figure out a way to market that. But I mean, I make that joke. I'm trying much harder now to drink a lot less or eat a lot less meat. Now, the meat that we eat with our family, we get it from the farmers. We know where it comes from. We know the people. We know the animals. Not personally, but we know where they are, and we drive by them sometimes. And so we're trying to eat a lot less meat, because when you eat the really good meat, you don't actually need very much of it. You only need like little tiny pieces of really, really good beef. And it's just like Popeye, like the really, really good meat, you eat just like this much. And obviously it's more expensive, but you only need this much, and you feel so wonderful. Like grass-fed beef that's been in the sun and all that type of stuff. It's really quite amazing, the difference. So here we are, we're into I think this is the 6th steep for these teas. And you can see the color of them keeps sort of changing. This one right now is a little bit lighter. This one a little bit darker. So you can see here, this one here, these are the steeps that we've been drinking so far. This one's still much lighter than this one. But as you can see, they've switched. So now this one is getting darker than this one. So this one's getting lighter. And you can see, I don't know if you can sort of see here, I mean, this one here, it still hasn't even fully opened yet. Like it's still in this chaud pu'er is still in the, like, I don't know whether I should break it up. I don't know what the right the right way to do it is. But these leaves here, these are fully opened. So these leaves have fully opened. And so I think that's really interesting. But so I'm just going to break it up a little bit. I don't know, is that the right etiquette? You guys know way more than me. Spectral Tea, hello. Blossoming Guru, hello. I don't know, should I poke it with a stick or something? Wow. So here we go, the 6th steep. Now, what's amazing for me with these chaud pu'ers is just how long you can drink them. Like I could literally make, so, this is 8 grams of tea. I did 8 grams of tea from this guy here. I could drink this I could just drink it forever. I mean, it's amazing. So I've had a request from Kim to poke it with a stick. I don't actually have a stick, but I have some bamboo from this beautiful packaging thing that I showed you before. So I'm going to take off a little bit of this bamboo and I'm going to stir it around. And I bet you the next steep, this is going to be like black is the blackest moonlit, or moonless overcast night. I'm sure that's the wrong way to do it, but at least it's not metal, right? Anyways, etiquette and tea don't mix well, in my personal opinion. Quint, well, that's why you're sort of here listening listening to me talk about tea, right? I mean, I'm like almost the anti-etiquette tea etiquette person. I mean, this is brand new. Well, it's actually not brand new, but anyways, I'm not a big fan of the. I'm not a big fan of the Ryan, man. No worries. You're amongst friends. Just so deep, so warming, and I don't know how to describe the flavors. I mean, I would love to send out some of this to maybe some Showpoor fanatics. Maybe send me a DM or a PM after this. I'd be happy to send you out some of this, because I really would love to get your opinion about this. Now I'm getting like a sweetness coming from it, like a really deep back in the mouth, this like a sweetness. I can't put my finger on it. I have no idea where it's coming from, because it wasn't there before, but it's like a very wholesome sweetness. I don't know if that makes sense. It's very strange. It's very strange. Well, Clint, I guess you can see how my childish brain works. Hey, Ryan, man, that's everybody's brain. You were not alone in that one. And I've got to. I always have to watch myself on lives, because I'm quite a very, very sarcastic human being, like very, very sarcastic. And it's okay when I'm speaking, but in chats, oh, it's brutal, man. I make so many mistakes and make people unhappy, and I'm just like, no. If I was saying it live, you'd understand my tone. So this one's definitely calming down a bit. The bitterness is almost gone completely, even though there wasn't all that much. But the sort of the roasted corn kernel-y type of thing in there is also gone, almost gone. It's quite subtle, still there, but it's almost gone. So here we go. I'm gonna go for what, the 7th steep. I usually end up using wine cigar descriptors for Showpoors. Spectral, that is way more intelligent than what I'm doing right now. Absolutely, it's way more intelligent than what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to think of all this stuff and describing it on much more like a body feel level, which is whoa. So I just, as Ryan asked me to, I just fingered the I just fingered the Showpoor here, and the darkness has come out for sure. So we're going into our 6th steep of this tea, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Thoroughly enjoying these teas. Ouch. So even after doing this for so long, I still burn my finger every once in a while, but that's okay. I've got some calluses now. Helps expand the vocab, going outside the box. Absolutely. That's the problem is I don't smoke a lot of cigars, and I don't drink a lot of wine. So I've got to, you know what I've got to do? I've got to get one of those flavor wheels. I mean, I've got my computer right here. I should just fire up the computer and get one of those flavor wheels. But that is something that I really got to work on. But thank you for that tip. That's an awesome tip for sort of wines and cigars, sort of that deep, earthy, leathery feel. I've really got to start looking for those adjectives. Almost said a joke that could be borderline too far. Well, go for it, Ryan. You're amongst friends. So check out. I don't know if you can see the color difference here. It really has gotten darker and darker and darker and darker as we go along. It's really quite dramatic and really enjoyable. Like I enjoy watching this happen. It's so much fun. But the flavors for both of these teas, this one here, as we go through, I mean, this is the 6 deep. As we go through these teas, the flavor of this tea has certainly become, you can taste the age, right? So it's becoming richer and deeper, almost more pleasant. Like it's becoming more fulfilling. I gotta look at the flavor wheel. Whereas this one, it's like it's leveling out, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's becoming less pleasant, but it doesn't have the depth. It doesn't have the depth, and I'm sure that's because of the age. I'm sure that's because of the age. It just doesn't have the depth that this one does. There's not sort of new flavors coming out. The flavors that are here are just slowly on the downward path. Whereas this one, there's new flavors coming out. You like fingering your pu'er? Well, I'll have to save this to the YouTube channel, Ryan. Hey, I mean, who knows? Maybe I can get a T-shirt made with that one. And I'm going to put it out on the feed today. But there was one artist who sent me just a beautiful Mountain Stream Tea logo, but it was way too big and just too involved. And it had the mountains and a river coming down, and then like a tea leaf with a flower, and then the water coming over the flower and going down. And I've talked to them and I said, listen, can I make a T-shirt out of that? I'll give you $1 a T-shirt. And the person was like, yes, do it. So I'm gonna have some T-shirts made of this design, and I'm quite excited about it because I think it's gonna be quite beautiful. What was the context of me telling you that? I don't know. I'm just kind of excited about it. So this tea, the first time I had it, I drank it with a bunch of people, and we were drinking these teas and we were having conversations, and I wasn't really focusing on this tea. But now that I am, and obviously we're having a conversation as well, but the point is, for me, well, anyways, I'm enjoying focusing on the teas. This is blowing me away. I mentioned it the last steep. There's this sweetness, this ethereal sweetness that's coming out about 5 seconds after I drink it. And I have no idea where it's coming from or what the source of it is. And it's like, it's not like a normal sweetness you would get out of tea. It would be much more like a wine, or much more like what I would imagine a really high quality cigar to be like, maybe. Sort of that, but it's not smokiness, right? There's not smokiness in it. But it's like a depth and a roastiness that is, I love it. I mean, I do. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, if you guys are interested in the T-shirts, man. Maybe I didn't say it when you guys were listening, but the launch date for the website is March the 20th. I looked into the lunar calendar, and that's the luckiest day for me to start. So I'm going to press the button on the 20th of March, and I'll have some promo codes and some other things going by that time. But that's going to be the launch of the website. I don't know whether I'll have probably won't have T-shirts up by then because I got to do so much stuff before then. But I'm very excited. I'm super excited. I'm just like, it's such a huge step to have that website up and running. But it's going to be, it's going to be It's going to be a big deal that day. A huge deal. I'm so excited and scared shitless. Like it's going to be terrifying. So here we go again. You can see here, I actually like the color now more. It's less dull. It's a little bit lighter, but still dull compared to this guy right here. But look at the ruby color in that. I mean, it's beautiful. This the first time I had these two teas, I didn't really notice that big a difference between the two of them. And I think I mentioned it before that I was having conversations and it was, a fun time and all that. But and now that I'm noticing the difference, the age between these two, fascinating. It's so wonderful to, like, I want to keep these around. I'm going to buy a couple myself and just stick it on the shelf and see every year I'm going to drink it as I go through. I think that's a huge part of tea education is once you find the tea that you like and and then you age it yourself, and you can't fake that stuff. That's amazing, and I'm really going to enjoy doing that with that. Congrats, thank you, and excited to be one of your first customers, Quint. Well, thank you. It's going to be a No Frills website to start up, but I'm hoping that I can get like a 5-minute video for each one of the teas so that I can show people that aren't quite as rabidly tea heady as maybe the people that are listening to this right now. I want to get people to be able to see that it's accessible, that you just need to buy a $2 Gaiwan and you can have fun with it and do it and have like a 5-minute video for each one of the teas and stick it up on YouTube and stick it up on the website and make it accessible for more people. That's kind of my goal with all of this, is bringing more people in. So good tea, but I'm not getting depth from it. It's just the flavors that were there before slowly on the downward spiral here. Whereas this one, the richness and the fullness of it is just getting more and more and more. So flavor wheel is on my list. I'm going to print out a flavor wheel today. I'm going to print out a flavor wheel today for sure. But anyways, so good. I'm really... it's so wonderful to, like, I'll give you I missed the beginning intro. What is the difference in years between the two? This one is a 2012. This one's a 2017. And this one comes in little pucks, like this. You can see the little pucks. And then this one here comes in like a big brick, you can see here. Coming in the big brick, like that. And so that's the difference. This is the 2012, and this is the 2017. And there's a lot of reasons why they're so different, but I mean, well, check this out. This is the extra teas that I've been saving. There's somebody downstairs who wants to drink some, but this is how much I've saved from this tea, and this is how much I've saved from this tea. So you can see which one I'm enjoying more. This is just an idea, but if you could sell a super cheap Gaiwan or even a free Gaiwan with a purchase of a certain amount, that would be a great incentive for new drinkers. Absolutely. Getting the hardware can be a burden for newbies. Absolutely. That's something that I really want to do. And that's something that I also want to do like a subscription. So you'd pay like $20 a month, and then you get a couple teas that are similar but different, and then you can compare the two, and then also have in it like a little cup or a little Gaiwan or something like that. I mean, I can get these for $2 US. Like I'd love to be able to send that out, and that's something that I'm working on right now. And that's something that's definitely going to happen. Definitely going to happen. So we're at about 30 seconds left. I can't believe how fast this hour has gone. I'm blown away by how much fun I have drinking tea with you guys, and thank you so much for helping me practice, because this is still me practicing. And anyways, only got about 20 seconds left, but thank you guys so much for joining in. March the 20th is when this is going live, but I'm going to try and do daily daily teas, daily tea live sessions until then. But as always, thank you guys for joining in. Have a wonderful night and have some good tea.